am your
We're not
hostess
live on
with
this
the
one.
mostest.
So hold on. This one, for some reason, is on live. Now it is. Go ahead.
Hello. Welcome to this week's episode of Hollywood Matrimony Live.
We're dark again. Oh.
I was always a beautiful cocoa color.
Is that what it is?
Yes.
Right,
Anyways.
let's scoot this way a little bit so I can be in the frame.
No, because then this one's not going to be in the frame.
well,
Mine's more important.
Where, is it?
Yeah. It's always been. I've always been more important than you. I don't know where you've been.
All right.
I mean, I love you, but dang. Come on then. Scoot over.
No, I don't want to be in your stupid video.
Yeah, come here.
I don't want to be in your video now.
Come be with me.
I'm just going to be in my video. No, I don't want to be in your video. Your video's gross.
Let me just check and see what it looks like. Okay, I tried
It's
to
fine.
do even shots.
All
We're
right.
running several cameras. So.
Yeah, we have a different setup again as we're doing stuff, and we're trying to expand it.
Expand the universe.
So we're triple streaming.
casting.
Yes, triple casting. See, this looks good. I know mine looks like crap.
Move over.
So it's
This
fine.
way.
It's fine. I don't care.
Look, there's room.
I don't
There's
care.
this much
Mine's
room.
fine. There's people showing in. I don't care.
Okay, hi everyone.
Let's just
Welcome.
go.
All right, we're going to talk about some movies. I know that's shocking since that's what the whole point of the show is. There you go.
All right.
How
Anyway,
to
before
turn
you
the
get on
sound
there,
off?
if you're on our
Okay,
Facebook
sound
page
is off.
or on our YouTube channel, please make sure you subscribe. Hit those little buttons. That way you can see all of our updates, trailers, and reviews, and news, and everything else. And don't miss out on anything, especially like the free stuff we give away.
Yes. I
All
did
right.
not bring my water. Okay.
That's what you got. I didn't bring one either, so we're all right.
Make sure you check out our website, HollywoodMatrimony.com. There's so many cameras, I don't know where to look. I'll probably look over here in the middle of everything.
How about you look over here, and you look over here, and you look over here. And the most important thing going on today is her birthday.
Woo!
So everybody like, woo!
They sang happy birthday at the restaurant, and it was...
Was it in Spanish? Was it in English?
No, it was in English, but here's the thing. Most restaurants, you can only have up to a party of 6.
Yeah.
There were 7 of us. So we had
How did
2
you have
separate
7?
tables because some people came with us.
Mm-mm.
And then my family and me.
Mm-mm.
And so we had to do 2 separate tables. So we're here and then an empty table and then them because we still can't sit next to each other at 2 tables. It has to be social distance because of their rules because they don't want to get fined.
You can't have 4 people sitting at a table together?
You can't have more than 6.
Really?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. So there were 7.
No,
So we
I
had
get
to do
that.
2 tables.
Why don't you just do 6 people and then put the other one to show they don't get nobody like them? But you by yourself because you're the birthday girl.
I don't know. Anyway, so then they're singing. So I'm looking around backwards because they're at this table over here and singing. And then the whole restaurant's like, yay. And so then some guy was like, well, they can't take that away from us. I was like, okay. He's
Was
like,
he white?
he was.
Of course.
And then he's like, and I appreciate y'all praying for your meal before you eat because they can't take that away from us either because Stoppo can't stop us.
Is that what he
I
said?
was like, okay. So, but you know what? That's fine. I had a good lunch. Everything went well.
But
So,
had we not been going through a pandemic and all this other stuff, he probably would have yelled at y'all about speaking Spanish.
probably. Well, but our waitress was Spanish.
No, that
so
doesn't matter. They work there. They're laborers. Y'all
They're
should know
essential.
better.
They're essential workers.
So dumb.
I don't even know. Make sure you check out our website, HollywoodMatrimony.com. Go up to the top where it says contest because that's where all the free stuff is. Thank you for watching us on YouTube and on this Facebook. And on this Facebook, you can also find us on the Instagram at Hollywood Matrimony and on Twitter at Hollywood Matter, MATR, because the character count is limited.
I did not comb my hair today. Look at that.
I did. You know what? I totally got up and I curled my hair and everything. And look, this is it.
All right.
Anyways,
That's how you look every day,
hello,
though.
thank you. Whatever. Let's talk about some movies, babe. What are we talking about
All
today?
right, so we've got a variety. As we all know, the theaters are still not open, but that doesn't mean there's not movies out there to watch.
Exactly.
There's pay-per-view, there's Blu-ray, there's DVD, there's streaming. There's all venues to find different stuff.
Oh my gosh. Let's talk about you trying to explain streaming to your parents.
We talked about that last week.
I'm not over it. It was so traumatic.
Yeah, if you want to hear my entire experience of trying to set up a Roku TV and explain to my parents how streaming works and Disney Plus and Netflix, then go to our last week's episode. And
the one thing that's funny about your parents and my parents is they're like, what's the Wi-Fi code? They go to the router and they're like, well, I think on here.
Because
and
it's
they come
usually
with a
printed
little
on there.
paper.
They have the thing that they give you when you get it installed and they save it, where we memorize it or we write it down somewhere else.
Well, it's in your phone, or I don't know.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying.
Okay, sorry. I'll shut up now about it. It was so traumatic.
Anyway, so we have a variety of stuff. So today we have 3 movies we're going to discuss.
Yes.
We have one that's a war movie.
Yes.
We have one that is a a horror film. Horror film.
Horror.
And what is the other one?
The other one is
the other one is a comic book action flick.
Adventure.
It's a comic book themed film.
Is it science fiction? I guess. Who knows?
Somebody asked me what's a wing corn.
Oh, Wingstop. I don't know if where are they from? If you're from around here, there's Wingstop, which is our wing place.
I think he knows what Wingstop is.
Okay, great. So Wingstop has Cajun fried
It's probably
corns.
from my birthday post because I said root beers and wing. And I think I meant to write Wingstop corn. Did I just write wing corn?
I have no idea, but I saw corn. So
if I wrote wing corn, then she knew what I meant.
They have little Cajun fried corn. So it's basically corn on the cob. They chop it up into pieces and they deep fry them and then they toss them in seasoning. And
I've never seen anybody this excited about
I get corn. Cajun seasoning and I get double, triple seasoning, and you add like Parmesan cheese. So you're kind of making like a street corn kind of thing. And it is the most yummiest thing. And I'm sure it's horrible calories. And corn's not really that good for you anyway. And I love it. And that's what we're having for dinner. I'm so excited. I'm so full from eating. Yesterday, Bobby took me to my favorite place. It's a Brazilian steakhouse called Vias Brazilian Steakhouse. And it's one of those places where they bring the meat to you, like the never-ending pile of meat, and they cut it off, and you're like grabbing it. Whew,
well, we can skip Wingstop tonight.
No.
I don't want you to be too full.
Oh, no.
Because I ate leftover.
I mean, the rest of the week, I'm eating salads.
Okay, can we talk about movies instead of about your dietary situation?
Okay, sorry.
All right. Anyway, so what would you like to talk about first?
I don't know. Let's go with this.
All right. So
horror.
First, we're going to talk about a horror film.
I can't say horror.
Horror.
That and the name.
Where's my little
Rory.
Thing?
What? Did I move something?
Oh, I put it way over there. Never mind. No, it doesn't matter.
I'll get it.
It's what I've been using to hold the movies up.
I can reach it.
Can you reach it? Don't kick everything, fool. So anyway, the first movie we watched, we're so not prepared today, is this lovely movie called...
What happened to all the stuff back here?
Woman, we're trying to do a show here called Belzebuth.
Belzebuth.
Not Beelzebub. Belzebuth. And it's a Spanish-English film.
Yes.
Because half of it's in Spanish, or a lot of it's in Spanish, but it's also English as well.
Does it take place in Mexico? I'm going to find out. Continue.
Anyway, so the story follows this series of murders. Yes. We'll say it that way, because I don't want to give too much away. There's a series of murders that are involving children. And this will be the aspect that might throw some people off of watching it because it is pretty violent. And then it goes into, but it's also it's a would it be classified as a possession type film?
Yeah, I mean,
like a haunting, possession, demonic
thing.
Yeah, it's that kind of thing. But
yeah, there could be a little trigger warning for some people.
It's got Tobin Bell, who most people would know from the Saw franchise, which that was the reason I was all in, because the Saw franchise is one of my favorite horror franchises. I mean, I love all the slasher stuff, but for some reason I love all those Saw movies and their cleverness of them. Has him in it. It also has, and I can never say the guy's name right. What is his name?
The main guy?
Yeah.
Joaquin Cosio.
Joaquin Cosio.
Which, if you watch Gentrified on Netflix, he's the grandfather that's running the old school taco shop, and the grandkids are trying to get him to modernize.
He's also in that movie you like.
He's been in everything.
Hot Pursuit. To stay in your personal vehicle.
Yes.
He's like the drug lord or whatever.
The drug lord guy, but he's been a Quantum of Solace, Lone Ranger.
He's in a ton of stuff.
Yeah, you've seen him. Narco.
He's Scorpion and Spider-Man into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
Anyway,
he's been in everything.
He's essentially the star.
Mexican actor.
Tobin Bell is kind of a co-star. He's in the movie as much as I'd hoped, but he's kind of cool in the movie. Which is funny because when you first start watching this film, you kind of figure out why is he in this movie before you actually really see him, because the whole movie's in Spanish.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, that's weird.
He was in The Strain. Joaquin.
Yeah, I told you that when we watched it, when you were ignoring me completely.
Sorry, I never finished.
So what did you think of the movie?
Dudes, I loved this
Neither one of us knew anything about this movie.
No idea. We just saw the name Belzebuth. I'm like, oh, this is going to be like a weird demon movie. And it's actually really good. I enjoyed it. I mean, the beginning of it is a little hard to watch.
It wastes no time getting right to a very horrifically violent scene.
It's kind of slasher bloody.
And none of them are... what's the word I'm looking for? Not graphic. It's a lot of blood, but you're not seeing
Yeah.
Like, for instance, when you see somebody get stabbed in one of these scenes, you see the person stabbing and you see the blood splurting, but it's kind of splurting. It's like that cheap slasher flick spray.
No,
it's like
good.
the splatter,
Yeah.
you know, and it's happening over and over and over. But the subject matter of what they're dealing with, like I mentioned before, is children, can throw some people off. She even asked me, because of me having a child that died as a baby, she was like, are you triggered by this? Are you okay? Because you never know what's going to...
it's completely different.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some evil forces at work here, but still the loss of a child is something
and
you don't get over.
It hit, and I never know when it's going to hit you anyway.
Yeah.
So, like,
well, and I was going to ask, I mean, do you think their portrayal of dealing with the aftermath of that?
Very much so. Yeah, because one of the biggest story parts of this movie is the main character loses a child, and he's having to deal with that, but he's also a police officer, so he's investigating some things, and having to that's kind of where the layers of this movie work better, is because he's not only having to try to hunt down this whatever is happening, whether it's a demon or a ghost or a spirit or whatever it is, monster, but also dealing with his own tragedy and being directly connected with it.
Yeah.
And seeing it happen to other people, and then having to relive it every time he sees something.
Yeah. Well, and the guy is like a detective anyway, so he's seeing these kind of horrible things all the time. And then, you know, you come across these weirdo cases, and of course, as the police detective, he's just like, oh, they're crazy, or what happened to this person at home? Like, what did their parents do to them? And then you have this whole other group of people that show up out of nowhere, which are your Vatican investigators. So I'm like, oh, okay, we're dealing with some demon possession.
Yeah, and it deals with like school shootings. It deals with stuff with babies, stuff with teenagers, kind of across the gamut of dealing with children death. And it's a little hard to watch at times. There were some pacing issues for me where it got kind of slow and dull. But not in a way that made it hurt the film as a whole.
Yeah.
I just, and I think it's because there's moments that happen that kind of punch you in the face.
Yeah.
And then it slowed down. So like that opening sequence, it's
like
very happy-go-lucky, and then it just goes balls to the wall, and then it slows down. And that one works because you're dealing with the aftermath of it. But then it jumps right into another one happening, and then it slows down again as it investigates. So that kind of happens, and then the second or the third act shifts into the confrontation of what they're dealing with and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I think one of my favorite scenes, which I don't think ruins anything, there's one cool scene where they have like one of those statue figure things of Jesus on the cross.
Oh, yeah.
And the evil whatever gets into the statue, and so then like Jesus on the cross is like rah rah.
Yeah, and you don't know if it's really happening, if somebody's
we don't know if they're hallucinating either.
Yeah,
because
it's really weird.
I think that's the interesting thing about this movie is like if you don't believe in it, you can take the route like all these people are insane. It's mass hysteria, or you can take the other side of the priest guy who's like, no, this is real. Be careful. So I like that they brought in all the different aspects of it, and they didn't go with the hokey, the power of Christ compels you stuff.
Yeah, I don't think there was any normal exorcism type stuff in it. It was all like a whole different culture aspect. Because like Tobin Bell's character, when you see him, and I'm not going to tell you what he does or anything else, but he's got clearly tattoos that are meant for something on his body and on his top of his head and stuff. And he kind of looks like my ex-father-in-law in that picture, doesn't he?
Yeah,
it's kind of creepy.
Bit like a biker.
Yeah, he's got a biker vibe to him.
The other interesting aspect of this is it brings in, because we're in Mexico, it brings in a lot of Mexican folklore with the mysticism and the good and the evil here, because a lot of people, even if you don't necessarily believe in the whole demonic possession, Mexican culture is very rooted in spirituality.
Yeah.
So you're good, like your white magic and your black magic and stuff. And so we get to a point where there's like this tarot card lady, and she's just doing her normal tarot card thing. But then it comes to a point where like, whoa, this is black magic. I don't want to have anything to do with this. So we get into the realms of that. And I don't think people maybe in America or in other countries are as superstitious as people in like Latin American countries. It's very deeply rooted.
It depends on where
you brought that guy up on the TV. I'm like, oh, he's a witch. I can't watch that.
Yeah, there's a documentary on Netflix. What's the guy's name?
Walter Mercado.
Which I was like, I thought it was like very Liberace like with all his plastic surgery, and And at first I didn't know if it was a woman or a man, and I'd heard of it. So I was just jokingly asking her, because I thought she goes, because a lot of times when I point out one of these Hispanic performers or over the top people, she'll be like, oh, that's Senor, blah, 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 blah. And then she'll be like, oh, we used to watch him as a kid, or oh, I don't like him. He's gross or whatever. She turned around and she goes, oh, no, I can't watch him. He's a witch. And I'm like, what?
So it's part of the underlying foundation of Latin culture is this whole good and evil.
He's a witch.
I know. I mean, we'll probably watch it because I see people like American people posting about watching. I'm like, how do y'all even know who he is? But yeah. I mean, he was.
I'm more intrigued. I didn't care anything about honestly watching it until you told me you were not allowed to watch it. You were not allowed to watch it because your family said he was a witch.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, now I have to see this. Yeah. Now I have to see the. What did you say? What was it like?
Walter.
No, I know, but what did you said something in Spanish about it. Crap,
no,
I know what that word. I don't remember. It doesn't matter.
I don't know.
You said something, and it's like, I've got to see this now.
All right. Well, I guess that's what we're watching. We'll tell you about it later.
That's gonna be for your birthday.
Oh Lord, my dad would be so mad if he knows. I'm not gonna watch it.
I'm gonna ask him because her dad's in my senior Taekwondo class. I'm gonna be like, oh, I watched this documentary about this Hispanic guy. Have you ever heard of so-and-so? And I'll just see what your dad's in.
No,
her dad's a minister, so he'd probably be
don't do that.
Start throwing holy water or something at me.
The power crush, that's compelling. Lord have mercy.
Anyway. Everybody's going to go watch that show now and ignore us.
Yeah, y'all go watch. I saw people talking about it, and I didn't even know Americans knew who he was, but I guess they do. He was very influential, I guess, in like gay culture and being.
I still don't even understand what he does. I just know he's a witch. I have a feeling
he had a little show.
I have a feeling he'll be very disappointed.
Like tarot cards. I think he was one of those like where you could call the hotline. Like what's her name?
Yeah.
So,
Dionne Warwick
type thing. So I'll go look at
it.
Anyways, check out this movie.
Belzebuth is available now on Blu-ray and DVD.
It's really good.
It's from RLJE Films and Shudder. So if you have Shudder, the network, you can probably find it on there as well. And I'm assuming it's probably because it was a Shudder original film. And then also, hold on, I got things popping up.
Oh, he was gender non-conforming. Okay, sorry for assuming he was gay. I need to know the proper pronouns.
So anyway, check it out. Sorry, I had a message blocking my screen. Check it out. And it's actually not a bad movie. It's whacked out, so you should check it out anyway. All right, so moving on. You can get rid of those because I don't have anything else to use for the day. I'll put it over here. All right. So what are we going to talk about next, ma'am? You want to talk about the war film, or do you want to talk about the comic book film?
Let's talk comic books, because I know a lot of people were watching this one, too. I saw people.
All right. So the next one is a new Netflix film. It's called The Old Guard, starring Charlize Theron.
Theron.
I know, but I like doing that because it drives you nuts every time I do it.
Charlize
Theron. And what is the other guy's name? Chiwetel Ejiofor.
Ejiofor.
Okay. And it's based on the Image comic book by Greg Rucka.
See, and I didn't know it was a comic book.
Yeah. I've never read it.
You were just like, hey, let's watch that new Charlize Theron movie. I'm like, okay, because I love her and everything.
Yeah, I never read the book, but I've heard that there's a graphic novel out. Matter of fact, Urban Legends, which I go to, posted. They were sharing it, and they say, we still have copies of the graphic novel, so I think I'm going to pick it up because I'd like to see. We'll get into the whole thing.
Yeah, check out Urban
So anyway,
Legends. I'll just post a
do you want to tell them what it's about?
So,
or do you think you can?
The movie is about a group of immortals, and they are warriors. And
are they warriors of virtue?
I think so.
But they're not kangaroos?
No.
You have no idea.
I have no idea what you're talking about. But basically, it's a group of them, and they go around, I don't know why willingly, or maybe just because it's in their nature to fight the good fight for people. And you find out they've been along for a long time, and suddenly a new person appears amongst their group. And that's where our story begins.
I'm sure there's probably more in depth with the book.
Yeah, I want to read it now.
One thing I like that they did with the movie is there's a lot of open-ended, unanswered questions.
Yeah.
So it's clearly set up to with the plan in hopes to make a sequel. And I was reading an interview with Charlize, and they're already, from my understanding, developing a sequel to this and Atomic Blonde.
Oh, wow.
But I think Netflix is interested in Atomic Blonde as well. So we'll see what happens.
That was good.
But I like Charlize Theron. I really like her in the action stuff. And I was listening to her interview on Stern and was talking about how this has kind of been her second chance
Yeah.
at action, because she talks about a lot of times when somebody dives into a genre, if it fails, they usually don't get the second chance in that genre.
Yeah.
And she did Aeon Flux years ago.
Yeah, which
and that movie
I liked. I don't think anyone else did because it was bad, right? Isn't that based on some animated thing?
Yeah, it's based on an MTV cartoon, Aeon Flux. And I was excited to see it. I loved her cast in it, but the movie just did not work. But she talked about how that movie just didn't come out the way it was supposed to. She's admitted that the movie's bad. She's like, it's not the movie that they thought they were going to make and whatever. And it happens sometimes once it goes through editing and changes. And but she got that second chance, kind of with Mad Max and then in Atomic Blonde.
Yeah.
And now we have this. And she's really good at it. She's good at the action. And you can tell that she does a lot of it herself.
Yeah.
She gets in there trained. She's kind of become like the female John Wick mentality of doing stuff, and she loves doing this stuff. And it really works well in this film.
And I think the thing that I admire most about her is that she does like her own stuff, and she does a lot of it.
Yeah.
And she gets into all of her characters. I mean, you see all the different movies, like she transforms herself for all the different things.
She still hasn't transformed as much as she did when she was in Monster.
That's what I was going to bring up.
That is the
Monster,
creepiest transformation ever.
Because that didn't even look like her.
Yeah.
But I appreciate someone that gets in and does their own thing and learns the fighting and the choreography. And a lot of this one is interesting. It has some sword work.
Yeah.
And like she was doing
she's using an axe, which I love that as part of kind of their past history of the characters. Even though they're using guns and stuff, they're still wielding the weapons that they used.
Mm-hmm.
So that means that it's kind of like we teach in our martial arts classes, you're going to use the techniques more often that you learned at the very beginning than the ones you learned today, because those are the ones that should be better.
It's your foundation.
And so if your foundation started in a time period that didn't have guns,
then
clearly you're going to be better with a sword or an axe or a bow or
and she's
whatever.
got some nice arms, y'all. I'm just saying.
I guess.
I've got this whole thing happening. But anyways, I just appreciate her.
And the movie's very simple in story. It's got some twists and stuff, but to me they were pretty predictable on some level.
A little bit.
It was another one that had a little bit of pacing issues for me. But again, I think it's the same thing. If you go through this explosive action sequence and then it slows it down.
Well, and I think also too, they're trying to give us story. They're trying to explain how does this work being immortal? Does it always continue? Where did we meet? How does a new person join?
And I think that's where the problem is.
So
there's
so
so
many
much
story things.
So much that needs to be told in a very short amount of time, and you can't. So they're trying to give you snippets to understand them as it builds towards it. And then there's like you mentioned at the beginning, there's not a lot of really definition of why they do what they do.
Right. Like,
but we also don't necessarily always need to know that. It's like if we watch a military movie, and do we need to know the backstory of why this guy decided to go to the army for this war movie?
The interesting thing is that it kind of sets up for more adventures because they've been immortal. So I'm like, okay, well, we could go in so many different directions.
They could also even do prequel, too.
That's what I was thinking. We have room to go back to whatever year it is and do that battle. I'm like, this would be interesting.
And from what I've heard, it sticks pretty close to the comic. The guy, obviously, that created the comic wrote the screenplay. There was only one element. There's a gay love implication. That's how I want to say it because I don't want to give away the scene. That was the only thing in there that was said that was not allowed to be changed. He said they could not change.
Oh, well, good.
Not that they asked him to, but he said that was the only firm thing about it, because he did mention, and again, without reading the comment, I'm kind of going secondhand, but I was listening to an interview with Greg Rucka who said the original story was really more about her. Mm-hmm. But now when you're making a movie, he had to expand the other characters because they had to have some meat to them, or they were just the guys in the background.
So is that story in the original book then, I'm assuming?
I'm assuming the book is pretty much that same story.
Yeah.
I'll know once I get the collected edition and read it. But
well, and I mean, in that story itself, the love of these two people, these two gay characters, don't want to spoil who it is, but it's interesting their explanation of what love is, because I think for us in a limited span of, we may be here for 90 years, of which we may only be together for like 50 or 60. But
so long.
Our definite, we're going to be together forever. I'm never leaving you. Even if you tried to leave me, I would follow you. I love you. But our definition of what love is interesting because it's a lifetime. But imagine if you've been
when you literally, it's forever.
For hundreds of years.
It's not a lifetime, it's forever.
Yeah, what would your definition? So there's this monologue of this guy about,
and that's why it's important so you don't know who it is if you've never read the comic, because it's such a great moment, and it's a beautifully violent moment.
Yeah, but it's such a beautiful monologue of like,
it's like this person means more to me than,
I'm like, it's not just like my boyfriend or girlfriend. It's like,
and it was interesting because when that scene happens, you still don't know that they're going to be a relationship.
Right.
It makes it sound like these people were just being haters by calling them a gay couple. This person is basically talking about, this person means more to me than that. But I didn't expect them to still be that couple. Yeah. So it made it even more impactful because then okay, this was a deeper thing than just two friends.
Because before then, I mean, it's kind of lightly mentioned in passing, but you don't really get it. And I think, though, that speaks to the relationship of each individual. So some things happen that are actually very heartbreaking through the story. When you realize these people have been together for hundreds of years, and this one thing happens, you're like, wait, how could this be happening right now? We have such a deep relationship, such a deep bond. Why is this happening? Yeah. And then there's this new person, and they're trying to just understand what does this even mean to be immortal.
I'm stuck on the whole. I'm really stuck more on the thing about you following me. It's creepy.
Why?
Look, if I'm gonna go, I got to go. Don't be following me,
babe.
When the hoes come calling, Daddy got to go.
You're not. No. All
right, I tried.
Never.
She's my wife. I love my wife to death. Our only issue in our relationship is she's selfish and won't let me date.
That's what it is?
That's what it is. That's the issue we have.
Okay, that's good.
All right. So anyway, the Old Guard, and I don't want to go into too much more on it because that would be giving away every little aspect of the story.
You need to watch it.
Like I said, I've seen some people that thought it was kind of ho-hum. Some of the reviews weren't that good of it. I don't understand that. I enjoyed the film as a whole. There's some pacing issues for me, but as a bigger picture, I enjoyed it. I really hope they do get it more because it is definitely set up for a sequel, and it's definitely set up prequels or whatever they want to do with it. What are you looking for?
I have no idea how I even did.
What are you doing? Just stop looking for things. Every time you start looking for things, you end up in a weird place. I really don't want to look at your search history because no telling what you've accidentally found.
I know. It's not on purpose. Just
anyway,
so you know.
We're moving on. So the Old Guard is available now on Netflix. So if you have the flicks of net,
watch it.
It's available for you.
It's included. It's ready to go.
And in the midst of all this discussion of talking about them potentially doing an Atomic Blonde and another Old Guard film, they've also started working on an Extraction sequel. Chris Hemsworth. Wow. But when the guy wrote about it, he said, we're working on the Extraction sequel, and they put parentheses prequel. So we don't really know if it's going to be about him before the first movie or if it's going to take some interesting turns.
I liked it.
If you've seen that movie, you know how it ends. So
maybe we go to the beginning.
What's even funnier is I was reading an article before we go to our final film. I was reading an article about Extraction being like one of the top searched movies on Netflix, but it's not the Chris Hemsworth one. And I think people are trying to find that one, and they're coming across this other movie called Extraction, which is a great action flick.
Yeah.
Which is what is the guy name? I forgot the director's name. Dang it! I'm actually a fan of his, and I've seen the movie. But apparently that movie has become it's that one. It's not a great movie. It's an okay movie with Bruce Willis
and Kellen Lutz.
Yeah, it's an average movie at best.
I remember that.
But Stephen Miller? Yeah, Stephen Miller, who I love. He directed the Silent Night remake. He directed one of the Escape Plan movies. He's done a bunch of stuff, and I've interviewed him a few times. But it's just funny because his movie has had a resurgence because they're searching for attraction, and then they're finding his, so they're watching them both.
Oh my gosh.
So anyway, The Old Guard is on Netflix now, and we're going to move on to our next one.
All right.
So with the pandemic upon us, whether you believe in it or not.
Corona.
Exactly. Whether you believe in it or not, it is happening.
You don't have to believe. That's fine.
We all know a lot of movies have been getting bumped from the theaters because theaters aren't open. So one of those movies, some of them aren't getting bumped and going to pay-per-view. Some of them have been bought by streaming services. And that includes this latest movie that we're talking about, which is the movie Greyhound, starring Tom Hanks. It was bought by Apple TV, I think for like $50 million or $20 million. I don't remember how much they paid. It was something crazy.
When the hose comes on, Daddy's got to go out is the quote of the summer. Oh Lord.
That's my new.
Well, my response to that is, I'm never leaving you. I will follow you wherever you go, and probably if I die first, I'm still gonna be here. How about that? How about that?
Oh, I don't care if you die and you're still here haunting me. I'll be like, "What's up, girl? How you doing?" That's my ex. She dead. That was because
then the hose are gonna be running.
But that's why you have plural.
Oh.
With one leaves, another one replace.
Wow. Okay.
Anyway.
Well, I'm glad y'all enjoyed that.
I just love that I'm confident enough that I have that many hoes
You
to
think
choose
you
from.
have that many hoes? He ain't got
Why do you think I married this one? I had to settle.
Wow.
All right.
Either that, I thought you were going to say I was a hoe.
No, well.
I support hoes. I think we need to legalize prostitution. They deserve free medical care. I just think it's good for the economy.
It controls the crabs.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right, moving on. Now it's getting
taxable income.
All right, so let's go. We're talking about Tom Hanks' Greyhound.
Oh, Tom Hanks is an American treasure.
He is an American treasure.
He's got to be a sweetheart.
So
I just assume he is the most wonderful man on the planet.
So this movie is about a battleship.
Yes, it's a battleship.
It's a battleship. That's not what it's called. It's a destroyer.
Oh.
It's a destroyer.
Is that different?
Yeah.
Anyway,
it's a destroyer, and it's during World War II, and their basically their job is to protect the fleet that are coming through.
Yes.
From the submarines and the U-boats and things like this. So this movie is about this ship, the Greyhound. Tom Hanks is the captain on the ship. Yeah. And it's essentially an hour and a half game of cat and mouse fighting submarines.
Yes, man. And
it's not the typical Tom Hanks war movie that you get. You know, some people forget how many different war movies Tom Hanks has done.
Yeah, he has, hasn't he?
You know, with Saving Private Ryan. What was the other one I was just looking at? Crap! I just looked them all up. Anyway, crap. Now I've gone blank. But anyway, he has in this movie he's the captain, and it's interesting how the movie starts and ends exactly the same way. I don't know if you caught that. I'm assuming you did. Yes. Because it takes place in what, 2 days?
It's 56 hours. So like two and a half, 3 days.
And so it's basically showing him get ready for the day and end the day, and it's telling you this is how long things have been going on. It's kind of its setup.
Yeah.
And it's the downside of this movie, before we talk about the movie itself, is this is a movie that should be seen on the biggest screen.
I felt bad. Like, I wanted to be in our Dolby theater with the rumbly chairs.
Yeah, it needs a loud sound system. It needs a loud big screen.
It deserves it.
Because it's just such a big, epic film. Yet, it's only an hour and a half smaller film because it's not the big scope film that you might think it is, if that makes sense.
I mean, yeah, but it's interesting. That was the only thing that I kind of missed out. Like, I wish we had been in a dark theater with our rumbly seats and the surround sound. I mean, we do have surround sound, and it's very loud.
It was very loud.
Lord have mercy, because especially this guy right here,
who can't hear,
that cannot hear. And he's like, what'd they say? So I'm having to feed you dialogue. But anyway, but the other thing that was interesting, I told you in the middle of the movie, like, I think this movie's loud on purpose because we were in the middle of these battles.
And it was hard to hear, but a lot of it was the music they were doing. But it was, again,
some of it I think was just the environment.
We were wondering if it may be something like Dunkirk, where that was purposely cranked up so you get the experience as if you were in the middle of a battle, and it's supposed to be hard to hear.
Yeah, it is, because there's like bombs going off, and then you see a thing, and I'm like, torpedo, torpedo.
She's yelling torpedo.
I'm like, torpedo.
And then it's funny because in the movie, then the person that's job is to do that, goes torpedo, torpedo. She does it like she discovered something. She's
like, I already said that.
She's like, see, like she was in the military and understands.
But it's interesting now watching this now, because this is World War II, right?
Yeah.
So watching the technology, like there's one guy, his job is to stand there and be the radio guy to tell the guy down below, and he's just repeating back and forth.
He's like,
correction.
It's kind of like watching a kitchen work.
Yeah.
When you're the line cook or whatever is telling the person at the pass,
like they're just repeating the
this
information.
Is coming, and this person is telling the waiter. And it's very much that same idea.
And it's chaotic, but I mean, that guy was like so focused and like, what did the captain say? What did this guy say? I mean, that's all. He didn't get distracted by anything.
The entire movie is that. it's action from a standpoint of, yes, there's some explosions and there's some gunfire and that kind of thing, but it is really just watching an hour and a half, for the most part, of the crew doing their job.
It's
and
amazing.
Making snap judgments and questioning each other, but it's not overly Hollywood from a standpoint of somebody's got to disagree with his decisions, and you can see sometimes when he says to do something, they're like, what? That doesn't make sense. And then they do it, they're like, holy crap. And then there's other things of not the moment where everybody does a great job, and he's like, I just want to tell the crew, good job. It's very military-like, like it should be, and he gives them the look that shows that he appreciates what you did, but get back to work. And we were talking about, there's a scene where a guy dies, but there's no time to mourn that guy. They're basically like, take his place. And
they're like, get the replacement up here now. They're like dragging off this guy, and he's all like, and they're dragging him, and you can tell Tom Hanks is like, oh, that sucks. I wish I could do something. But he's like, get the replacement now. And I'm like, dang, because there's no downtime.
And that's his performance in this is what makes it deeper, because he does so much without saying that much. Most of his dialogue are commands and what to do and what to, all that kind of stuff. It's not about the emotions of all that is in his face from the moment it begins, from the moment of the stress of what we're going to do, to him second guessing his own choices, to finally getting to come down and feel something at some point in the movie. It's very interesting of the way it worked. I wasn't sure from the first time I saw the trailer. It came off as one of those movies that I was thinking, like, this is the kind of movie that looks like it ends up on straight to video. You know what I mean? That's what it felt like when I saw this first trailer. Because, you get these trailers that come out, and they're epic. When you see a Dunkirk trailer or a 1917 trailer or Saving Private Ryan, for that matter, you see them and you're like, man, that's going to be a big movie.
Yeah.
I saw this one, I was like, this looks like Tom Hanks in a movie. It didn't feel like that. But seeing the movie.
It is. It's big.
And you can tell the promos know it's a big movie.
Yeah.
Because, like, there's been numerous billboards, and even on Apple TV, it had
like all of their movie billboards for the week was just Greyhound. It was just like one panel, next
and it's
panel,
one
next
long
panel,
thing.
next
So you're
panel.
seeing the ocean, so you see the Greyhound, then you see the U-boat, and then you may see another boat, and it's the title. You can tell they know it's
amazing.
A big scope.
Yeah, it's big. It really is, and it's actually really interesting. A lot of the battle stuff is actually really interesting. I always have not into war movies, but I've become more into it, I guess, these past few years. And
because you learned something.
I did. I learned these things, and then interesting random things I pick up. I'm like, okay, wait a minute, what war are we in? World War II. Okay, that makes sense why this guy's here, because that was the reality of.
Yeah. That's a race situation.
Yeah,
Nobody was being racist or anything, but
no.
it's talking about their position.
Because he was actually one of really beloved by the captain.
Yeah, which I thought was a really great, such a subtle moment,
but
where because. The captain's never overly polite. He's not saying thank you for things, but they don't. That's not their job to thank you for telling this person to do his job. And it's not like he went out to eat or anything. They do this. They move on. But when that happens, when he's like, you could tell that he's like, man, I really, he doesn't say a word, but it's very
and then
much,
later when he comes back and he finds that thing sitting out for him, and he's like,
yeah.
Oh, it's so heartbreaking. So there
Such
are some really good things. I would watch this again. It was that good.
Yeah,
I think if we get like a little theater room set up.
Try that one again.
Yeah, in the dark with the big screen.
Which, ironically enough, it's going to happen, folks.
Yeah.
We'll probably do, once we get this room fully turned into what we're planning to do with it outside of the movie thing, maybe we'll do like a little.
Because can you imagine that entire wall's a screen?
Maybe we'll do a walkthrough.
Oh my gosh.
A little video walkthrough on Hollywood Matrimony.
There you go.
Facebook page.
Yeah.
Everybody, most people probably don't even care, but.
But then we could show you how to make your own home theater for not very much money. Cheap. Because we cheap.
All right. Anyway,
so check out Greyhound.
It's available now on Apple TV.
There you go.
Yeah. So
all right.
I guess that's going to be it then.
What do you got?
We didn't watch anything else. So
I feel like we watched something.
We were gonna watch that movie Burden, and then we didn't get to it, so we'll talk about it next week.
I watched something.
What did you watch?
I watched the movie on Netflix, 365 Days.
Oh Lord, this
which
thing again.
Everyone's talking about. Actually, it's actually really good. So it's based on a trilogy of books, and I believe they're Polish books. And so the main character's Polish.
It's about sausage.
Her name is Laura, and she's kidnapped by a mafia guy from Italy.
This is Laura.
It's Laura. and she's kidnapped by this very hunky, sexy man named Massimo. Which, if there is a sexy little drug lord guy that wants to kidnap me, I am available.
And then I have to follow you.
That's okay. You might.
You can't be available.
You might get killed by the mafiosos.
You can't follow us. So here's the problem. You won't let me date. And you've threatened to stay with me forever. Yet some hunky mafia guy is going to kidnap you, and you're like, bye.
What am I supposed to do? It's the mafia.
You could fight at least, because you were never going to be separated from me, but you were willing to be kidnapped by a handsome person.
But he buys her all the clothes she wants and has a beautiful home in Sicily, and they have a yacht, and I mean, come on now.
So what I've learned is you can be bought.
Yeah, of course. Everybody
and if
can.
it's that hunky drug lord that kidnaps you, then it's okay for you to leave me.
Yes.
And so are we going to go back to discussing this hose conversation again?
I guess. Let's have a conference after this. Anyways, it's based on the series of books, 365 Days. He kidnaps her and says, Laura, you have 365 days to fall in love with me. Basically what happens is when he was younger, he had a vision of a lady and had her painted.
Lady.
Yes. And it ends up being like the exact her. Like she is who he's been dreaming of his entire life. But of course, because he's a drug lord and she's an outsider, there are forces at work here that are trying to keep them apart because the familia is like, no, you cannot bring an outsider. Because that's, of course, what they do. And then she's like, I need to get back to my life. But, so there's just so many things. There's lots of sexy time. There's lots of clothes shopping. Then there's more sexy time. And then there's some violence and some shootings and stabbings and things. So
this movie just sounds like
it's kind of.
exhausting.
I think it's going to be the new 50 Shades out there for the ladies. So
well, if it well.
I know. Anyways, I thought it was good. It is a little steamy, but it leaves you on this giant cliffhanger on if someone's alive or not.
Oh.
And I'm like, dang it! Now what? I hope they make the second. It is. I hope they make the next movie. And then
what's the next one called? 364 Days.
I don't know what it's called.
It's gonna be like 232 days.
Oh man, I'm gonna have to go read the book.
The last one's gonna be like 15 minutes.
Oh my gosh, it's 365 days, and then the second book in the trilogy picks up where this book left off.
Well, that's dumb. That's a missed opportunity.
I think it's 365 Days Part 2.
That's a missed opportunity.
But they're a Polish book, so I'm gonna have to find them in English.
All right.
Anyways, I watched it. I thought it was really good. It's on Netflix now, so you should check it out. I'm sure all the ladies already have because Massimo's hot.
I did dive into Disney Plus and watched. I rewatched the Fantastic Four movie that came back out a couple years ago. I don't understand everybody's hate for that movie.
Huh.
Like, it is a mess in certain parts. Like the third act of that movie, suddenly remembered it's a superhero flick and doesn't work very well. But the majority of that movie is, I really dig that movie. It's like, because it feels like, it felt science fiction-y. It didn't feel like your average superhero flick as they're trying to do everything. And, I hate the way Doctor Doom looked, but I hate the Doctor Doom character anyway, so it doesn't matter to me. But it's just, I don't understand the total hate for that movie. I have that feeling, if you want to talk about the other two Fantastic Four movies, those are just bad. But, I don't know.
Well, the other thing I was watching on Disney Plus is Queen of Katwe, which we talked about when it came out a couple of years ago.
You need to stay off my Disney Plus subscription.
I have my own Disney Plus.
You don't. You have mine that you have an account on.
It's about this girl in Uganda who becomes a chess champion, and it's amazing and uplifting.
Lupita Nyong'o?
Lupita Nyong'o's in it.
She's the mom, right?
And David Oyelowo. So, love all these people.
Oh, yo.
So you should watch that. It's on Disney Plus. It's a really good family film. It's uplifting and inspirational, and it's based on a true story.
Fair enough.
There you go.
All right, we just went off on random tangents for no apparent reason.
We've been watching stuff, so I wanted to share with the people.
All right. So let's find out what's coming out this week on the Blu-ray and the DVD. I don't think it's a lot because I think it's been kind of quiet.
Okay.
What is this week? We're coming off your dumb birthday, so it's going to be
this
week. So this week we have Enter the Fat Dragon.
Mm-hmm. That's
going to be hitting the Blu-ray and DVD, which we're also giving away copies on our website at
HollywoodMatrimony.com.
And outside of that, it's a bunch of, looks like a lot of TV series stuff. 12 Monkeys, the complete series, The Magician, season 5, Legion of Superheroes, animated complete series. There is a movie coming out, it looks like it's called Swing of Things, with Luke Wilson. I think that's what it is. I can't really tell.
Okay.
And then just a bunch of random stuff. So it's another kind of small week. We don't have a lot of stuff hitting Blu-ray and stuff because nothing came out.
Yeah.
So there's not a lot of fluctuation of new movies and stuff that's hitting. It's random stuff. But Into the Fat Dragon's worth checking out. That'll probably be the movie I talk about tomorrow on Martial Art Movie Monday if I can do it.
Yeah.
But that's all for now for my part. What you got, lady?
Well, I'm confused by why this is here. Am I in the right year?
They are probably doing a re-release of it, most likely.
Okay.
Because did you know what? I believe it was this weekend. The one of the number one movies this weekend was
What?
Empire Strikes Back.
Really?
Because it was a lot of the theaters are playing old movies, so it's putting a resurgence on what's number one at the box office.
Wow.
And the other day it was Ghostbusters. So it's like they're putting them out there, and then theaters that are open, because there's a few that are open, and then you have like some drive-ins and things like this. So a lot of these classic movies, and I read Empire Strikes Back was top of the box office.
Okay, well.
It's the first time it's been back in theaters since the special edition was released.
That's kind of cool. All right, so there's something coming out called Ghosts of War. Don't know. It's about World War II. It has Billy Zane. I don't know what else this is about.
You know who Brendan Thwaites and Alan Richardson are?
I don't know who they are. I'm sure I do. Okay. Then it says Inception, so it must be a re-release somehow. I don't know what this. The Sunlit Night.
I like Jenny Slate, so
doesn't give me anything. Something called Dirt Music. Who knows? Streaming online though.
I know of the Broken Hearts Gallery.
The Broken Hearts Gallery. There you go. That is coming out on, I don't know, limited release. 2 Ways to Go West, streaming online. Who's in this one? I don't know.
We don't know. Man.
Okay, Recovering Drag Addict.
This week.
The Painted Bird. The Joy of a Boy.
You don't care. I like You Don't Care. It's creepy.
We'll watch that. A Nice Girl Like You. It's Lucy Hale, who's a violinist and does something. Wants to go out and like complete her to-dos.
She does something.
She does something. I think she's trying to do like her to-do list.
Why are you yelling all of a sudden, you wacko?
And something called The Climb. Who knows? There's a bunch of
stuff.
So
we're probably not talking about any of that. We have some other stuff to talk about.
I think I'm now watching Mucho Amor with Walter Mercado.
We also have...
what is this?
What?
Cuban.
I don't know. It's probably a documentary. We also have that movie, Tax Collector.
I want to see this movie. When does that come out?
It got moved, so I don't know.
Oh, it's currently in post-production.
We got Tax Collector.
Oh.
I'm going to watch. I have a screening for that, but I don't know its release date, so it might be August. We might have to wait to talk about it.
Man.
So we'll figure it out.
All right. Well,
we'll come up with something. We always come up with something.
Don't worry. Don't you worry about it.
Don't you worry your little head.
There will be good movies to talk about.
So,
anyway, sure.
Do your spiel.
All right. Thank you so much for watching this week's episode of Hollywood Matrimony Live. Make sure you check out our website, HollywoodMatrimony.com. Go up to the top and hit the contest button for free stuff. Whoop, whoop. All right. Thank you for watching us right now on YouTube at Hollywood Matrimony, Facebook at Hollywood Matrimony. You can also find us at Instagram on Hollywood Matrimony and on the Twitter at Hollywood Matter, MATR.
And on my Facebook right now, because we're triple streaming today.
Ooh,
but you just ignored all those viewers. On giveaways right now, we got, of course, Enter the Fat Dragon that I mentioned already. We're also giving away a copy of the movie Samurai Marathon. We have a couple others that I let go a little bit longer. They're fixing to end, both Friday the 13th and Braveheart Steelbook editions that we're giving away. And most likely this week or next, we will be giving away a couple of copies of Blu-ray. I announced it at Digital Codes, but it has now been shifted to Blu-rays.
Oh, wow.
For the High Note.
That's fancy.
So we'll be giving away copies of that. And I think that's going to be it. So
cool.
Join me tomorrow for an episode of Hollywood Matrimony's Martial Arts Movie Mondays, where I'm planning to be there. We didn't do them last week. There's always something's happening these days. There's a pandemic. What do you expect? And then hopefully we'll finally get to do TV Tuesday.
I have so many things to tell you. Like I tell you about
I'm going to tell you that TV Tuesday will happen, and some Tuesdays, sometime between now and later, because we don't never know when it's going to happen. And then we'll, of course, circle back. We'll be here for another episode of Hollywood Matrimony, which we always do this show even when we ain't got nothing to talk about.
But we always end up with
this
things
one,
to
this
talk
one will
about
talk
somehow.
about something.
I will. We can just talk about life.
Nonsense.
We can just talk about life.
Nonsense, I tell you.
That's a whole different thing.
I kill you. Oh, if you haven't watched it, even though this would be a TV Tuesday thing, in case we don't do it, if you haven't got on Quibi, you need to watch. Don't get a bunch of your Quibi stuff. I'm telling them on
I
one
love Quibi.
If you go to Quibi, you've got to watch Home Movie, The Princess Bride reenactment. It was basically just a series, like 10 episodes, I think. They completely reenacted the entire movie of Princess Bride with just tons of different actors, but they all did it at home and with whatever they could find to make it costumes, and it would transition. And it's not the same person playing the same character every time. Sometimes not even in the same individual story, because there's one that was Brandon Routh and his wife, who are both, I forget her name, but they were both on Legends of Tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
They were playing two characters, and about halfway through it, they switched characters.
Oh my gosh.
It's really funny. So anyway, check it out if you can. It's on Quibi, and that's also got a couple of upcoming things. So anyway, that's all.
All right.
So be careful out there. Be safe. Wear your mask. Be nice to one another. Listen to each other. Spread love. We'll get through this together.
All right.
Peace and love.
Bye.
Bye.
Have to log us out of everything. Please be patient. Uh-oh. Say bye.
Bye.